Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today I'm going to talk to a lady who channels. Now I know I've had people on the show on the past who also channels, but there's something that we're going to do a little bit more unique in the show, I think. And I know this goes on, and one of our friends of the show, Alan from the Circle of White Radio, introduced me to my guest, and he said, this lady would be absolutely brilliant because she does something a bit different to many of the other channelers, and we'll find out what that is. Her name is Tracie Mahan, and she is in Oregon in America. Welcome to the show, Tracie. It's lovely to have you on the show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I think we'll have a lot of fun with this today.
I hope so. Now, this is something quite new to me. I've been on a journey, I suppose, in the last 10 months, accepting a whole load of things that have been going on, been down rabbit holes and things, and the spirituality and talking to spirit guides and things absolutely fascinates me. I would love to be able to do it. I don't seem to be able to do it, but I've spoken to many people that do. I'm convinced it's a thing, that it's not all made up. You do something a little further than that, from what I understand. But before we get to that, and I'm just going to leave the audience guessing a little bit, if that's okay,
Yeah.
can I just find out about how you discovered that you had these abilities and how you developed them?
Yeah, I'll try to give you the elevator version of that because it could be
Y-
a long story, right?
Yeah,
It's like our
I'm
whole life
sure.
leads us up to the things.
Yes.
Um, so years ago, so I do readings, mediumship, um, and I used to do channeled letters where I would bring in messages from angels and guides and that kind of thing. So that was, gosh, that was probably back in my later 20s, early 30s. I mean, I really started this journey when I was about 15 years old. So it's been an ongoing thing. But I went to this group that was every Wednesday night. We would practice with each other about how to tune into things, how to wake these parts of ourselves up. And this one lady said, "Hey, I do channel letters. Would you like one?" And I said, "Oh, that would be amazing." And remember now, this is me in my baby stages of just getting to know how to do all of this stuff. And
Hmm.
and I at that point I wouldn't have even known what a galactic anything was. And she sends me this letter because this is back in snail mail time. She sends me this letter that told me I was going to be a liaison between the star people and Earth, and that I'd be doing this work where I'm communicating with the ETs or the collectives outside of our planet and bringing messages. And I was like, whatever, that's crazy, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But somehow I saved that letter, and I would have totally forgotten about it except for I wasn't supposed to. So in 2018, so I also do this technique, QHHT. It's quantum healing hypnosis technique with Dolores Cannon and her technique. And I went to my level 2 training for that. And when I came back from that, um, I went to go do a practice session with a friend of mine, and she put me under. And as soon as she did, here comes the Arcturians, and they're like da 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 da, and they couldn't talk fast enough. They wanted to tell me all the things, and she's sitting there going, "What's happening? What's happening?" I kind of freaked her out, and in fact, she's never done a session with me again. but
Oh
but
dear.
it was this crazy Arcturian energy, and I had seen why I was in my training. Um, they actually brought a guy up on stage that channeled Arcturians, and I was sitting there going, "Man, what's happening in this room?" When that was happening, I was like, "I'm feeling really funny." Never put two and two together till I got back, and these guys started coming through, and they just bring through the best and most beautiful messages, and they just really want to see us all get it, understand, love each other, and stop all the chaos, right?
Mm.
So anyways, that started my journey with channeling. So there wasn't anything special that I did other than I used to channel letters from the angels and the guides.
And
So
when you say channel letters, just can you explain what that means?
yeah, like if you had a question, you would send me your question and I would sit with the question. I'd close my eyes and then I would just start writing the words that came to me and
Right. So
write
you're
them a
so
letter
like an
from,
automatic writing type thing,
yeah. And I
but
would
not
just
auto.
write that
Yeah.
all out and then I would send it back to them. And
Wow.
um and so that's kind of how I got started, but I never in a million years thought they would actually speak through me. So that was kind of a new thing for me when that happened. And so I wasn't quite sure what journey that was going to take me on, but I
Mm.
ended up a friend of mine was posting on social media that she was having a bad day, and I was like, "Hey, you have a minute for a phone call?" So I started talking to her, and pretty soon, but here they come through. I was going to take her on this little clearing journey, and I closed my eyes, and then boom, they came through, and they took her on this whole complete journey. And at the end of it, she goes, "What do you call that? That was amazing." I said, "I don't know. That's never happened before. I didn't mean, I didn't set an intention for that."
Wow.
And she goes, "Well, you need to do that with people." So that became the Ascension Activation Sessions. And so that's kind of how that all got started. And now I do sessions with people where we take it's a 2 hour session and we talk for about 30 minutes and about 90 minutes where the arcturians take them on a journey and it clears things out. You got emotions or family matters or illnesses, whatever, they'll go look at that. They'll look for why is that all there. It's very interactive. You got to participate in it. You've got to be willing to be honest with yourself in it. And then they take you to see your counsel that helped you plan your life, and they may even take you to other planets that you've existed on before this one. And so it's been an incredible ride and a game changer for me, a life changer. Like the thing,
Mm. Well, I can believe it's a life changer because
yeah,
it's not what you normally do, is it? When you leave school and you get a 9 to 5 job and your life experience is quite narrow.
yeah,
This is incredibly wide and as you say, going off to potentially different planets. So
yeah,
can I ask you a little bit about them themselves? These Octarians, did you call them?
right, yeah.
So where are they in our dimension? Are they in their own dimension? Are they on a planet nearby? Or how does it? Who are they and
All of
how do
that.
they exist? All of that, right? Okay.
So we have frequencies, right? We're all
Yes.
energy and we have frequencies. So we're in a different frequency dimension than they are. And they are on a different planet than we are. They're in Arcturus, but they resonate at a different frequency. So so yeah, so it's kind of all of it. Uh, when I first met Daniel, and like I was saying to you earlier, it's a collective of seven, and Daniel's the one that speaks through me. And it took me about a year before I realized that Daniel is an aspect of me incarnated in Arcturus. And that's why that connection is strong for me, because it is me in
Right.
another reality. So um so yeah, so you've got Arcturus. They were on a ship when I first met them. That's where I was going. So when that first came in, they were on a ship, and then that was in 2018. We're in 2023. This has been 5 years. Um, since then, they've been on a planet. They've been on a ship. They've brought me to. I had an experience one time where I was gonna just meditate. And I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden, I'm on a ship, and I can feel this odd body. It's like the head was a little bigger, the arms were long. I had three fingers and a thumb, and I'm sitting in this very metallic looking um, ship, basically. And I asked, "Well, what's happening?" And they said, "Well, we're channeling you this time." And I said, "Oh, you can do that?" So
Wow.
it was really kind of fun. And it just was a couple of moments. And they were showing me, I mean, to feel it was like this, just a few moments of absolute clarity. And it was
Mm.
like, wow, is this what it feels like? Okay. Because their capacity to think or know things is a bit more vast than ours. And then there were some others on the ship that came around because they were excited that I was coming to them this time, not the other way around. And then I was back in my body, and it just happened that.
Wow. And
So
and do they talk to many of us on humans? Are they contacting many, or are they very specific number of people?
I would imagine they're communicating with many.
Right.
And one of the fun things that happens for me, like I said, I don't watch the news. I don't read a lot of books or go down any of the rabbit holes. I used to, and then I was told, don't do that anymore.
Hmm.
So I don't, just to make sure I'm a clean channel, that the information is coming through, because I'm a conscious channel. So conscious channel means I'm very aware of what's being said. I won't remember it later, but in the moment I'm very aware of it, which means I can somewhat influence it. I've actually tried before to say something different than they were saying, and it didn't work. But my thoughts and my belief systems can be an influence of what information they're gathering to share. So they kind of clean my slate of, don't go down the rabbit holes, don't watch
Right.
the news, and it helps me to stay more neutral with the messages. Um,
Because
I
I
think
imagine
so.
fear is if you go down these rabbit holes, you can become quite easily fearful, because
Yeah,
a lot of it is painted in I was going to say in dark colours, if you like, but
right,
you feel. And I've been down these rabbit holes, and in the end I thought, that's enough is enough.
right.
And now it's really about, actually what we need to do is find solutions and bring people together and raise vibrations, rather than keep telling people that, oh, this is going to happen and this is going to happen, which may or may not happen, but
Yeah.
it keeps people in fear.
Well, it's basically, what reality do you want to live in?
Right.
One thing that's been made very clear to me in this is that we each create our own reality, and everything around us is a mirror of a belief system we have. And so when things are happening around us, when there's something we don't like, it's because we're putting attention on that. And so therefore it's going to be part of our reality. But when you take your attention off of it, it's no longer part of your reality. And it's like, well, that's so simple. But then
Mm.
it's like, but am I putting my head in the sand when I do that? And they said, all the realities are always going to exist. You get to decide where you want to put your energy, because we want to be. And here's the other thing: we all came to have different experiences with that. So some of these, the frontline people, the ones that are really protesting and really want to get their feet on the ground for things, that's what they came to do. So you got the frontliners, and you got the ones that are holding energy, and peacekeepers. And I said, oh, well, I totally identify with the peacekeeper, the one holding the energy, so that the frontliners can go in and clean up and expose and do that stuff, so that they have the support they need for us holding that energy. Um, but again, it's experiences. Everything is an experience, and this experience for me, being a channel for the Arcturians, has actually made me look at this world like a very joyful place to be. And it's not that every day of my life is like rainbows and unicorns, right? But it is a lot different than focusing on all the darkness that's happening, or all the things
Mm.
that are happening. They said, well, why do you think that happens? You came into a third dimensional reality, which has duality in it. So if you think about it, the more we go into the light, the duality of that, the more darkness gets exposed or comes to the surface. So we got to keep creating that reality, but eventually the scale tips, and then we create the reality where we're putting the most focus.
Yes. I mean,
So
we keep. I'm being told all the time from lots of different people in people on the spiritual side of things, but even people who are very much practical, down to earth, is that we are coming to all sorts of terms: a shift, ascension, a
yeah,
transition, and all of this. And so clearly, this is what's happening, because I've never experienced so many people who, on completely different levels, are feeling something happening.
yeah.
Um, and and of course, the thing that keeps popping up is that we're moving from 3G, 3D, 3G,
Phones,
3D,
Earth,
yeah, phones, yeah.
yeah.
No, we're not moving to we don't want to move to 5G, thanks very much, but to 5D.
Yeah.
And the question that I keep thinking is, well, what is the 4D that we're sort of leapfrogging over? Do you know?
It's kind of, it's my understanding that it's a dimension that's kind of where, um, how do you describe the 4D? It's kind of the in between space. I had a really good answer for that, and like went.
So, somebody said it's that you now see the lies and the things on the telly, so or and the mains. You start to see the nonsense for what it
Yeah,
is, and so you can run past. You know, you can just shrug your shoulders and go, "Okay, I no longer believe you. I'm not accepting your fear and your doomsaying. I'm just moving over here."
right.
That's how and somebody had described that,
It
and I
is
thought,
that space. Yeah. So it would, that would be a great way to describe it. And
right,
even for like people that leave the earth, die, they, some of them will cross over and some of them kind of linger in the void space for a little bit. And that is kind of a fourth dimension
right,
where they're in this void. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of different ways to describe the fourth dimension, and I always wondered that too. Why are we going from 3D to 5D? What happened to 4D? And when we get
yeah,
to 5D, are we going to skip 60 and go to 70? What are we only
yeah,
doing the odd numbers? So,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we all have these questions, but
Well, I'll be
um,
very happy to get to 5D along with my peers and people because it sounds like it's going to be an amazing experience.
yeah,
And wouldn't it be lovely to have a world in which we no longer have, where
I'm going
we
to
don't
tell
have.
you, you're already in an amazing experience. And as the audience listens, I hope we all can get to that place where we understand we are in an amazing experience. Look at what you don't like about your reality, and then look at what you're focusing your attention on. And is that reality mirroring that information? Because you can change it, and you can already be in 5D right now. And it doesn't mean that you're going to stay there 24/7. You're kind of building up. It's kind of like going to the gym, right? You got to keep going to the gym and keep building that up to keep that physical fitness. And that's where we're at right now. But it's really important also that people understand that to get there, you got to be in joy. So if you are doing something that is not keeping you in a happy place, like if you go to a job you hate, or
Mm,
you're in a relationship that's abusive, or dragging you down all the time, whatever it is, you got to make some changes. It's not going to happen without those changes. And it doesn't mean you walk away from the job. It doesn't mean you walk away from the relationship. It means you make some changes in those positions. If you don't want to walk away from them, change what you're doing in them and see if you can create a positive change that way. But this is all here for us to evolve. And so you got to look at, well, why is the world look the way it does? Why is the chaos here? Why is this happening? And to get to 5D, we know we have to dissolve what's happening now to create something new. And so if you could look at it like, oh, this chaos that's going on, is that the crumble, what's that saying? It gets worse before it gets better. So
yeah,
things get exposed, people go into chaos, fear, all the things, but that fear is there to serve you. It's there to show you where you're holding on to, where you're not having the faith or the trust that something better's there. It's all getting exposed, and it's showing us where
right.
we're at.
So is that like I'm learning now that when you get ill or you have little pains and aches, it's actually your body telling you that
Yeah,
there's something, and you change. You might change your diet. You might do a bit more exercise or something, and it goes away. It's not that you have to go to the doctor and just be prescribed a sticking plaster to cope
right.
with the effect.
Yeah.
So, as you say, when you see the fear and you think, "Oh, okay, that's telling me." That's yeah, brilliant. I love that. That's really good. I
And
think people.
I've healed a lot of things that way. Like I had kidney stones, and I'm stubborn, so I was sitting at home in pain. And one of my dearest friends is Julia Cannon, Dolores Cannon's daughter, and she wrote. I actually have her book right here, which is exactly what you're talking about. The Soul Speak.
There it
The
is.
Yeah, Soul
So
Speak, the
speak.
language of your body, and you can just go look up. Okay, kidney stones, and look it up, and it's right there in the. If I can find it. Me and my finding the kidney stones.
I've just written that down. What was her
Yeah,
first name?
Julia Cannon,
Oh yeah, Julia. I should
and it's
remember
Soul
that. My
Speak,
partner's
the
called
language
Julia.
of your body. I also have another one I'm going to share with you because I think that these books are like Bibles to have around the house, and that's Feelings Buried Alive Never Die with
I've seen that. I've actually seen
Carol
that come
Trueman.
up on
Yeah,
some of the books that I've
and
looked at.
this one's a little bit bigger, right? So,
Right.
oh, and it popped right open to the kidney, and then I dropped it. But anyways, so I ended up actually calling Julia up, and I said, okay, I went to urgent care. They told me I have kidney stones, and I said, what do we do? What do we do to get rid of kidney stones? And so she starts asking me a series of questions. Basically, it boiled down to what's pissing you off right now that you feel like you can't move.
Right.
And so I got into what was going on with my life at the time. And, and we talked through what, what was going on, because there was something that was upsetting me that
Mm.
I just kind of felt like it was one of those situations where I felt like my life is being affected by someone else's choices and I can't do anything about it. Blocked. And
Right.
right. And so this energy can't move. So we get done with maybe a 30-minute phone call. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I don't have any pain anymore.
Wow.
And I never passed a kidney stone. I never had pain again from that moment forward. And so and it was definitely a kidney stone. It was creating some problems. So I'm a witness of what paying attention to the body can do, and you have to be honest with yourself. I mean, sometimes our ego wants to get in the way and go, that's not me, I'm not doing that, I don't feel that way,
Yes.
it's like, but if you get there and go, yeah, yeah, I'm jealous of that thing, or I'm upset about that thing, or that hurt me when that person did that, or that situation happened. If you start getting really honest with that, then your body starts feeling really good. And the thing about these feelings books is, all feelings want to be felt. If you treat them like little people, right? All the feelings want to be felt, and we can't just feel the happy ones and ignore the bad ones. We got to feel them. But when we
Mm.
get in there and go, I feel really sad. Why do I feel sad? And then you start getting really honest with yourself about why you're feeling sad. Then it goes, and then all of a sudden, this person that you felt sad about, or the situation you felt sad about, all of a sudden you have neutral feelings about it. It was showing you something. It was energy probably stored from childhood or even another lifetime, and it's
Right.
surfacing, and it's showing up in a weird way. I mean, how many times have we been like, man, why am I in this mood? That doesn't even make sense. There wasn't
Yeah.
anything happening that should have triggered this. And if you really dive into it, sometimes it's a past life that's showing up to be cleared and healed. And so, I mean, we could talk all day, huh?
Yes.
It's like, we
Well,
could just keep talking.
we
But
could
yeah,
just keep talking. Well, one of the things that you said is possible, and it may well be in the title or on the thumbnail or something. I haven't. I don't plan those till after the thing. Is that you could do channeling as we actually record this interview, which is very
absolutely.
exciting for me. Um, and so your arcturian Daniel
Hmm.
um, would be prepared to speak. So how do we converse? Because I haven't come with any prescribed questions or anything like that, but I often think on the fly. Yeah,
Well, you might be
as,
thinking on the fly. So what I would do is I invite him to come in. I close my eyes. My voice will change a little bit just so that you're prepared for what happens. Daniel usually comes in with a message, and then maybe there would be questions about the message, or you can just talk to him like you would talk to me. I'm just going to have my eyes closed, but that'll be it. I actually have a picture hanging on my wall, and as you were talking about the Octurians, I realize a lot of your audience may not know what one looks like. So if you want it, and grab the picture
mm,
wall that I have of the Arcturian. And
yeah, no, that would be fascinating.
yeah, let's share that. So that would be my Daniel. That's what he looks like to me. Um,
Wow,
uh, and it could be that he just projects himself that way to me. Yeah, let's do that.
there we go.
There we go. Um, because I've seen pictures of the Octurians online and stuff. I've looked them up, but that when I was in the body, when I was telling you about being on the ship and in the body, my head felt like that, like it was big and went up and bubbled up
Mm.
like that. So I tend to trust that picture and that image, but they're kind of like I'm going to try and center myself here again. um,
Don't worry.
they they're kind of like us in the sense that they don't all like, there's different colors. There's different, I've seen them in metallic-y, kind of metallic-y colors. I've seen them taller, shorter. So they're kind of like humanity, we come in a variety of ways. We all have kind of the basic similarities, and then
Mm.
we have other things going on too. So they kind of come through like that for me. I've talked to other, they call them the cousins, the ones that are in other, maybe other galaxies or other parts of our universe, and they come through and they look a little bit different. So,
So this is new to me, and I'm going to say to my audience, to one of the things I've done on my whole journey with all the people that I have interviewed is to say, let's put everything on the table. Some things always, not always. Some things sound a bit out there, and it's easy to be skeptical, but let's leave the skepticism till later on, and people can make their own mind up afterwards. So as you do this, it would be nice. I know this is pre-recorded, so this has already happened as far as the audience is concerned, but it's just that thing about people can be very easily go, oh, this sounds a bit, nuts and what have you. And I invite the audience to join me and say, look, this is an experience I've not seen, and some people may have already seen. They may already know you and things like that. But there's going to be members who won't, and I'm just saying, let's just entertain the idea and not have any skepticism. That's how I like to approach all these subjects.
right.
So to try and stay as neutral as possible, but as supportive of my guest as possible. So I only say that because sometimes people are a bit odd, because it depends on the spectrum where we all are, isn't it? We're all in different places, and
Well, I
and all
admit
of
what
that.
I do is a little bit strange, and as you were talking about that, I realized I also speak a light language, and that may come through, which
Um,
is
yeah.
it.
What is a light language?
It's the soul language, and so it sounds kind of like gibberish a little bit, or like another language, but not one that we're familiar with. And sometimes it has translation, but it's really about the soul. The soul signature will pick it up. So if they speak it, there's probably some sort of soul recognition. Some of the audience may be like, man, I felt like I knew what he was saying. uh,
Right.
even though there may not be a translation. But a lot of times what they do is, if they're working on a particular clearing out of old belief systems or something like that, they will show me what they're doing, or Daniel will come in and say, okay, they're going to work on your crown chakra, they're going to work on the ear chakras. They work on a lot, so that everyone can start hearing their counterparts, their team that's on the other side rooting them on. So
Fantastic.
so anyways, if that happens, just so you guys know, that is a thing too. So
And so once you're channeling Daniel, and he's had his message, I can ask Daniel certain questions, and
absolutely.
I address him as Daniel, and he's happy with that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm just getting the protocol, because I've
I
not
know.
done this
I
before.
know it
Yeah,
could be strange because you're
yeah,
gonna call me a masculine name. And
right. Yeah.
yeah, it took me some getting used to also. And the name Daniel, let me give a little bit on that too. It's
Mm.
is the gal that I was talking about that took me into that regression that first time. She said, what's your name? And they don't really have a name. They have a frequency, right? And so
Right.
just like if your loved one calls you on the phone and you pick up without seeing caller ID, you pick up, that voice. You don't have
Mm.
to ask them who it is.
No.
They kind of go by the signature.
Right.
So to be funny, he said Daniel, and it
No.
just stuck. And so it's like, all right,
Excellent. Oh,
I don't
okay.
get I don't get some fun space name. I get a real ordinary
Yeah,
person.
yeah.
So all
But
right,
it's
so
nice. It's nice to know that your alien, that your or your space person, however they like to be addressed, has a sense of humour.
oh, they have a big sense of humor.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's terrific.
They like to joke with everyone. If things start getting serious, they'll start getting funny just to lighten it, because that's important. In
Right.
order for us to manifest, in order for us to feel that we can create something better than what we're in, we have to be in those lighter energies. That's where the manifestation happens. So, this is what they're all about, is we're going to recognize that we do have these other lower frequencies or heavier, denser feelings going on, and none of it's to be judged. It's all an experience. They say you can't do anything wrong because you're going to learn from it. Rather, you were happy with the outcome or unhappy with it,
Yes,
learning.
yes,
And so it's
yes.
all an experience. So,
Fantastic.
so they're pretty, they like to keep things pretty neutral and in joyful places. So they'll take your bad day and they'll show you all the reasons why it's helping you. It's resolving things. You're getting blessed with this knowledge that this is still there and bothering you, and how to heal it. So I think they're a pretty fun team to have, and hopefully you guys will too. And I can go get them if you want, and
Yeah, please
let
do.
you start
It
talking
would
to
be,
Daniel. Okay.
yeah,
All right.
fantastic.
So it just takes me a second. I'm going to close my eyes and bring them in, and we'll see what they have to say. Well, Richard, what we would like to say is that there is no time or space that can separate us from you. When you are in the power of thought, when you are in the power of your mind, you can create anything. And the creation is instant. And the belief system of that creation moves forward. And so as you have opened this pathway, as you have opened this introduction into your world, that connection is instant as we all are creating thoughts around it. And so we are connecting to everyone. And as you had mentioned, your recording is pre-recorded, but we want the audience to know that we already sense you. We're here with you. We know who's listening because we can see that ripple into the future of who's going to be tuning in. And we appreciate all of you. We appreciate the ones of you that were a little bit skeptical to turn this on today. And we are very, very grateful for you letting us be here and to share this time with you. And we are not here to convince you of anything. We are not here to change your mind about anything. Your journey is yours. You all have a beautiful collective that works with you. And in your sleep states or in your more altered daydreams, maybe you would call them, you are connecting with those counterparts of yours, your team, and you are orchestrating the events in your life. So we are never going to be here to tell you that you are on a wrong path. That is impossible. Your team is putting the exact things in front of you and in your pathways to show you more about yourself, to to bring you in the directions of your healing, of your understanding. And we invite you to say, if you are listening to this and you are not so pleased about that path right now, right? And something is in your path that maybe you're not so happy about, then we want you to ask your team, what am I learning from this? Why is this in my path? Because as we're sure all of you have heard before, nothing is happening to you, it is happening for you. Your world is a mirror into your soul. Your world is showing you a beautiful aspect of self. Rather, it is something that is pushing against you to move you, or it is something that is opening up to show you what you're capable of. And so the resistance, if you can let go of the resistance and step back from things and get a bigger picture, you're going to start understanding your world much better, and it's going to start flowing much easier. And we ask and invite you to consider trying this for a little while, see how it works. Why is this showing up for me? And we do want to say, yes, you're going to have to work towards those changes. It is not the magic wand. We're not the fairy godmother, right? And we're just here to help you understand your world and your reality so that you can move through it, so that you can overcome the challenges, so that you can heal the body, you can heal the soul, you can heal the mind. We know that many of you have taken on lifetimes that have had tragedy and trauma, that you have taken on lifetimes of abuse, that you have lost your self-worth and your self-love. And we're here to help you. We're here to help you move back into all of those elements of you. And as you can heal that within yourselves, as you go on the self-healing journey, you are healing the planet as well. Because what you what you know about this world. It is one beautiful big being that is also alive, and it has many energetic grids that connect not just you to each other, but it connects you to her, to the Earth Mother. And as you are healing those parts of you, it is like a computer, right? You put in a new program that's working better and faster, everyone else will download it. And so as you are healing those aspects of you, those programs go out into that etherical realm, and it makes it accessible to others who are also experiencing the same challenges. And then their challenges can become lighter and easier as they open up to receive it. And so we say to you, when you want to be of service, the best service you can do is continue the work on self, and continue to find what brings you joy, and continue to move in a direction that is opening you up into what is possible. You are a multi-dimensional being. Your soul is a vast and most beautiful, beautiful, large energy. And we compare it to, maybe say, the ocean. Let's imagine your soul is the ocean. And the role that you are playing in the physical body you are in now is like a bucket out of that ocean. You are an aspect of that soul. And so that soul can be aspected into many different places, many different universes, even. And it is. And we invite you again to acknowledge the idea that maybe, just maybe, when you go into your meditations, when you go into these spaces, that is your prayer, that you can connect to these other aspects of yourself, and you can bring in knowledge that will help you in this lifetime. You have access. You have the Akashic records. You have other alternative versions of self. You have all of these different galactic connections. You are more than just the being that is sitting here listening to this podcast at this time. And we want you to open up to the idea. We would invite you to just to be in the thought for just a moment. Is there more to me than just this? Now, does that take away from what you are here? Absolutely not. It just adds to it. And we want you to realize that you can go, you are not limited. And you are in this vehicle. When you are in the third dimension, experience the third dimension. But when you are in the sleep stage, you'll get to journey outside of the body. You're going other places, other dimensions. You come back into the body. But you can do that in your intentions as well. When you go into prayer and meditation, where do you want to go? See yourself expanding outside of this world. Where does your collective, where does your team want to take you and show you? Do you have a longing or a feeling within you that you are homesick, or that you have a sadness that you cannot understand or quite put your finger on? It could be that you are starting to awaken, and as you are awakening, you are missing your star seed brothers and sisters. And so then you put that hold on that awakening. But we say, if you can invite those star seed brothers and sisters to come into your fields so that you can feel them, you'll no longer miss them. And then you'll understand that you have a journey here that you are doing. You'll understand that you came here to learn, to help, to assist, and to evolve in this place. And that this time here in this journey is actually quite short in comparison to the infinite soul, right? And so it starts to get easier. If you are feeling that heaviness, please consider inviting in this counsel to help you. And with that, Richard, we will ask you, is there any questions that you have for us?
Well, Daniel, it's been wonderful to listen to you, and thank you for coming on the podcast and sharing that insight. I think a lot of people will certainly be taking what would be the word solace from that. You mentioned your team many times in that. Can you tell me what the team is and who the team, and do we all have individual teams supporting us?
Yes, thank you for that question. Yes, everyone has a team. You have this council. If you could imagine sitting at a big round table, maybe, and your council is there with you. This is a collective of beings, of souls that came together with you. to help you plan this life and help. They're like your little angels, your guardian angels, right? And they helped you plan this life, and they continue to help you plan this life as you navigate through each day. You you orchestrate new steps in your plan, and this team will help you. And so everyone has the team, and when you came into this earth, your team gathered, and Tracie calls it who got the short straw. So the team gathers and they decide who's going to come in and have the human experience, and then the rest become the helpers, the unseen helpers. And so if you are the one that is here, what we want to say to you is that you are here because you were most likely to succeed in remembering who you are in this awakening process, because it was very important at this time of this evolution of the planet that there was success in the evolution. And so each team found the member that they felt would be most successful at remembering who they are, and coming into their awakening of being the multidimensional being. And they came into the human form, and the rest are there to support, and they are at your access all the time. And many are referred to as the guardian angels, but that is not to say that they are all angels. Some of them come from otherworldly places, all of them in benevolent energy, all of them high vibrational with your highest good and intentions at heart. Some of them could be from the angelic realm, and some of them could be from other realms as well.
So, how do you contact your team if you're, in a quandary about something and you think, I've got a decision: do I go this way or do I go that way? Presumably, you're able to communicate with them in some fashion, and are some people more able to feel them, sense them, and communicate than others?
Yes, those are a lot of questions. Don't let us forget what they were. To contact your team, what we often advise you to do is to focus on the crown chakra and bring your energy right up in here, and then take it up as high as you can, and then you ask them to come in and give you guidance. Oftentimes you are in communication with that team. You are in communication with the higher self and with the council as you are in your head having these conversations. And when you are not in your ego aspect of the conversations, and it is not to take away from the ego, it plays its role in this world. But when you are not in that confrontation of the ego, when you are just sitting there daydreaming and flitting some energies around, and all of a sudden you get that brilliant idea, that is your team working with you, right? That is you bringing in those high frequencies and being able to receive your answers. That is oftentimes why people will say, if you're getting frustrated with a project, get up and walk away from it and take a walk in nature, and then come back and your answers will probably be there. It's because you take yourself out of that environment that is restricting you. You asked if some people can connect to that easier than others, and that is true. Some people can, because they have been in practice of some sort of spiritual practice that is helping them to be in their meditation or be in that connection. But everyone can have that connection, and everyone does have that connection. Follow the gut, follow the heart, right? If you're like, oh, I feel like I need to take a different route to work today, take that different route to work. That is your team, that is your gut. They work with the body. The body is always communicating with you. If you are starting to feel that anxiousness, or you get that gut feeling, or you just have this knowingness, trust it, and play with that. Trust it and see where that takes you. And again, you cannot do it wrong, as was said. If you make a decision you didn't like, you're still going to learn from it. So don't get caught up in the right and wrongs of it, and do the things that are coming from the heart, coming from a good intention. We know that oftentimes you can get caught up in the world and get really into that third dimensional reality where everything is coming at you all at the same time. And if you feel like you get into that, it's an important time to step out of that energy. That is when you want to go for that walk in nature and reconnect with yourself and with nature and with those grids that we were speaking about. And because you get caught up in this illusion that all of this stuff that is happening to you is And it does feel very real. We are not taking that away from you. You are going through that experience, but what we want you to realize is that you can change that experience. So when you go for the walk in the woods, start asking yourself, where am I focusing my attention? Where am I focusing my attention? And if you are not focusing your attention on the outcome of desire, if you're not focusing your attention on a response coming from love and understanding and compassion, then you're going to have the experience of what you are focusing on. And so, what we say to you about getting into that connection, if you, some people, we're getting a lot of information. Some people we're seeing in the audience, when you get in the shower and you're just in that, oh, that feels good with that water running down my body there. You're getting all that warm water. That is a time when maybe you are putting your guard down. When you're going to sleep at night and you're just in that state right before you go to sleep, that's another time when you let that guard down. You might get information in those places if you struggle in other times. But what we want to say to you, don't look for it. Don't try. Those are the things that are bringing you into your conscious mind and into the ego. That brings you into the third dimension. Open your mind and bring it out and just say, show me something that I don't know. And just allow yourself to play in the imagination. Your team will work with you through the thoughts of your imagination. So if you feel like you're not getting anything right away, start making it up. Say, okay, I want to connect to my council. So I'm going to imagine that I just went to the realm where the council resides. And oh, it's a horseshoe table. And I'm standing at the center of that horseshoe, and they're all on the other side of it. And there's 12 beings there. And you just start creating it. And that information is coming through that creative outlet. And you'll start to find that you're going to say things in that creativity of just even making it up. If you feel like you can't do it, just make it up and see where it takes you. And then read it again later. Write it down. Write down what it is you're seeing, experiencing, or record it and say it out loud. And then you can go back and listen and you can be like, oh, that's interesting. I can tell I was making these parts up, but where did this part come from? That doesn't sound like something I would say. And the more you do that, the more practice you get into that, the more that's going to become easier and easier and easier. And hopefully that answered your question.
No, that's interesting. You remind me of when I used to write stories that I would be up in the morning and I would hear about other writers who would have writer's block, but I always found that as long as I started, ideas would just come, storylines would come. In fact, the characters would tell me how the story is playing out. And I found that really fascinating because although I may have had a structure of the plot, very often the characters or even the plot itself wouldn't play ball and it would go in a different direction, but it always worked out. And of course, it worked out far better than a rigid, conscious linear here to here to here to here. So I absolutely get what you're saying, that if you even if you can't initially feel that there's a presence or answers are coming, if you start to make it up, ideas start to flow. It's like opening the channel. So
Yes.
I really take that on board. I think that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So one of the things I've been worried or was been frustrated because I've been trying to connect, say, to spirit guides or to my departed ancestors and things. And I suppose, in a way, from what you said, I probably are trying too hard to reach out to them or expecting too much in a set way. Is there, I mean, I think maybe you've already said it now, but is there a way to connect with family members that have passed over the threshold?
Well, the family members, they love to talk to you. They love to show you things. They're really good at leaving you little clues that they are around. And oftentimes they'll tickle the top of your head or make that hair, if you have hair, right? And it'll make that hair tickle, but they'll stroke your head and it'll make it tickle. And you'll find yourself going, okay, and you're fixing your hair or rubbing your head. And they like to come through like that. There's only so much that they can do and are allowed to do, but they do like to bring in signs that they are around. And there's when Tracie first got started in this, she had a loved one who had crossed over, and she kept feeling like he was around her, and and it was a friend of her brother's that had died in a car accident, and she just kind of just felt so connected to him, and she kept feeling like he was having conversations with her in her head, like she was talking to him, but she thought, well, that's kind of crazy, right? And so then she learned to ask them for signs that they are around. She said, okay, if you're around, I want you to bring me chocolate chip cookies. And at the time she was married, and her husband at the time, he come home and he goes, I swung by the store and I got a few things, and among those things was a big box of chocolate chip cookies. And she goes, well, why did you get cookies? And he says, I don't know, they just looked so good at the time, and so I just grabbed them. And every day she would go to her mom's house. Her mom was baking cookies. She would go somewhere and she would smell the smell of chocolate chip cookies, or there was a picture of cookies or an ad or something like that. Every day something. She goes, I get it, I'm getting fat, stop sending me the cookies. And so this is a way to invite your family to speak to you, the loved ones. They want you to know that they are thriving and they are doing well, and they are so excited to be able to have the opportunity to connect with you and tell you that they're doing well, or to show you that they're doing well. And it is it is an extraordinary thing. But what we want to tell you is, if you have recently lost somebody and you are still in the grieving, it may be harder to feel or know your loved one is around, because they need to let you heal before they show up in your auric field. Because if they're showing up in your auric field and you're feeling their energy, is going to trigger more of the grieving. And so if you find that you're one of the ones that are saying, why is everybody else having experiences with my loved one, but I'm not? It might be because you're focusing on all the pain, and we don't want to make that sound like that is a bad thing. You're grieving, of course you are. It's a beautiful thing. It shows you how much you love that person, how much you cared for them, because the grieving is deep. But the way to bring them in, if you feel like you haven't been able to do that, is to start thinking about the things that they did that made you laugh, the fun things that you did, a road trip you took, whatever it is, a trip, a family thing, a holiday, whatever it is that makes you feel close to them and brings a happy memory in. Then you're going to draw them in very quickly, and you're going to have a different experience. But if it's coming from the hurt and the pain, they have to give you room to heal that. And that is one of, if you might say, a law for them, that there's a line in the sand that says, okay, if they are grieving, you've got to stay out of their auric field and let them move through the process. So loved ones are all around you. They always want you to know how they are doing. And it is always, this is one thing that Tracie says, oh, well, this is where religion got it right, is pray for those loved ones that have crossed over, especially if you have a funny feeling about it, like they're struggling to get to go to the light, or however you want to see the transition, because they can linger in that void because they want to be around family, right? And so some loved ones don't leave right away. They want to hang around their family members, and they're having a hard time saying goodbye. But what they don't understand is that they can cross over into the other dimension, and then their soul can come back at a higher vibration and be around their family and actually be of a benefit to their family in that way. So if you're feeling like you're not sure what happened with your loved ones, say prayers for them, that they have moved into that other dimension where they can come from high vibrations, and help those that are struggling to transition. That just helps them to transition. There's a lot of fear out there. A lot of people fear that when they leave this earth, they may go to hell, right? And so, or that they did something wrong, and that they're going to be punished for it. And that is not how it works. You came here to play a role, and sometimes the role that you play is not always very desirable, right? But maybe you played a role for someone else that is in your soul family, and you said, I'll be the bad guy in this situation and push you towards being successful over here. I'll do something that that is traumatizing, so that you can move into the experience that you wanted to have when you're here. Everyone is playing roles for each other here. And so when they leave these bodies, there's no punishment for that if that was part of the design and the destination of the lifetime. And so, but many souls are told here in this reality that they will not be able to transition. So that is what we want to say. There's a lot to talk about with loved ones, but your loved ones, they are very dear and still love you and are still very connected to you and want you to know that they're okay. They will show you signs if you ask for them. And of course, again, pray for the ones, pray for all of them that they have made it to the other side, and even that when it is your time to go, that they'll be there to greet you and help you with your transition over as well. So that is, it's a big family reunion, right? And so much beautiful things that you can experience in this planet, and connecting to your loved ones, that is one of them. You're not limited.
Can I'm going to have to draw things to a close because we have I like to record this just within the hour, but I just want to ask one more question, if I may, and then just finish off with Tracie. And that is that clearly it seems to me, and I don't want to get into the politics of everything, that things are drawing up, it seems, for a lot of people on where we are to become quite difficult. And we've seen a lot of unexpected deaths, if I can put it like that, from nefarious means. And I'm just going to leave it sort of on that vague. And it might get a little bit worse, and people may be fearful of things to come for a duration, and perhaps they might lose more loved ones. It seems to me that what you're saying is that some of these are playing these parts. They've voted to come down and help, and actually, even though it may have the appearances of being quite grim in a way, it isn't really quite as it would seem to us in the 3D world. Is that a fair representation?
That would be a very fair representation, yes. Sometimes it's the ones that are the worst in your world that love you the most, and they came to help you get an experience that was not going to be easy and was going to really challenge you in this life. But they came to give you that experience so that you could overcome that challenge, because to heal the planet, we must heal these deep, deep wounds of the planet. And the volunteers or the star seeds that are here, if you identify with that, you probably came in to take on one of those challenges to heal it and to put that healing into the grid, as we were saying, so that the earth itself can heal from these deep wounds.
Hmm.
And the ones, the loved ones that are leaving this earth, how to approach that. There's a couple of things that are happening with those who are leaving this earth, and through whatever means that they are taking their exit. There's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of belief systems playing out through this. And what is happening, though, for the individual souls, they're either they have completed what they came here to do, and it is their time to go, or they have decided that they are like, okay, I am going to be too challenged in this particular form with all of the belief systems and things that have played out in my life. To bring this body to a fifth dimension might be it's going to be very difficult. So they get this option to leave this body and come back into a new body that's going to be much easier, and if not already set up for the fifth dimension. So some of the people are leaving so that they can acquire a new body and be easily transferred over to the fifth dimension. So there's many things that are playing out, and his destiny is they chose it. They're moving through those transitions as they designed them to be. So it is hard as the ones that are still here in the third dimension, feeling the separation, feeling the loss, no more physical version of the being of that loved one being there. And so it is a harder transition for those loved ones that are here than it is the souls that are transitioning. They're transitioning for their own reasons. Either they're complete with the journey they came to be here for, or they're excitedly getting ready to incarnate in a younger new body to move into 5D.
Wonderful. Daniel, thank you so much for talking to us. I'll let you go and just finish off with Tracie before I have to end the podcast, but I really appreciate it, as I am sure the audience do also. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for being here with us today. We fully appreciate you, and we'll bring Tracie back for you now.
Thank you.
Okay, so that is Daniel.
Wow, that's I mean, it's amazing that you're able to connect so rapidly and so insightfully to do that. It must be a very humbling experience.
It really is. It's like I said, it changed my life. I look at the world so much differently now, and each individual, it's like, yeah, there's still things that I don't like, but then I look at that soul and that soul's journey, and it's like, okay, I need to get my ego out of it. I need to get my judgment out of there, and I need to just be in love and support of what this person's going through, or the outcome that we want to create, whatever it might be. So, and of course, like I said, I'm not free of those challenges of human life,
Yes.
They're still there. I just have a different way of going about them now than I did before.
And a greater perspective, I suppose, of of how things ultimately play out, on this particular existence, that it doesn't just come to an immediate end, bang, that's it, you've had your lot, thanks for coming.
Yeah, and here's something people don't realize is, I have this collective that I channel, but if I sit here and go, okay, what do you guys want to tell me about this situation? Crickets. I actually have to give my questions to another person and then go into the channel and they ask the questions, and then I can get them that way. But for me to just hold that conversation in my head, I do the thing everybody does. I'm like, am I just hearing what I want to hear? Am I just doing it? But it's a little different because I can't play both the question asker and the channel.
Right.
So I actually have to have a friend ask the questions for me when I'm in the channel.
So if people would like to contact you or have one of your sessions, are they able to do that?
Absolutely. TracieMahan.com, and it's TracieMahan.com. And you can find it on my website there. And I will put a YouTube channel that you can access from there too. My YouTube.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I'll put the website there in the description so people can find that and get in touch. I hope many do. I hope you're not swamped with stuff, but manageable. And I very much appreciate this unique conversation that we've had. It's been absolutely joyful and insightful, of course.
I love it.
And I really appreciate it. And a big thanks to Alan from the Circle of White Light. Yeah, we love him. And a big thank you to him for putting us together and enabling this to happen.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Tracie. I really appreciate it. And of course, there's a time difference between us, so you've had to sort of approach this first thing in the morning, and I'm just ready to finish off for this evening. So the technology to put us together is fantastic too.
I love it. It's a whole new world, isn't it? And thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it and really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
No, brilliant. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Thank you so much. I didn't think that what I was just doing there, talking to a lady who's channeling a creature from another dimension, was possible, but we put it on the table, and there's some very fascinating insights there that are worth going back and revisiting and listening again. I will be back with more of my interviews and my monologues on this channel, so do stay in touch. But for the moment, from wonderful Tracie, thank you so much, Tracie, and from myself, take care and see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.